This probably happens to you. Just take some straight paint, no paint thinner, no medium, anything like that. You put it on, you're painting on your canvas, you try and paint over it, and it doesn't work at all.
Hi, and welcome to Paint Coach. If you've never been here before, my name is Chris Fornatero, and I am here to help simplify oil painting so that you can get better faster. We got a good one today, going back to some basic stuff. I know a lot of people struggle with this, struggle with controlling the paint, making it work the way you want it to work. We're going to talk about a lot of good things today. We're going to be talking about painting thin to thick, when to paint around something as opposed to when to paint over it. What brushes should you be using to get the effects that you want? It's going to be great, so let's go. But before we jump into that, please, if you like the video, if you like the channel, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow. Now, if you're looking for full in real-time painting video tutorials, I have those, but they're on my Patreon page. But you can find a link to that in the description of this video. Also, when you become a patron of mine, you get access to my private Facebook group where you can post your paintings along with everybody else who's a patron, and everybody can comment on each other's, give advice. I go on there, I comment, I post stuff. It's just a really cool thing that we're building there. So if you want to be a part of that, check out my Patreon page. Also, every Friday I release a paint talk, which is a Q&A. I look at the questions that you guys put in the comment section and I answer some of them in a paint talk. So if you have a question, leave a question in the comments section. I just might answer on next week's paint talk. And if you want to see what I'm painting on a daily basis, you can follow me on Instagram at Forza43. All right, let's get to this demonstration.
All right, so we got our some linen here. Got our colors, got some ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, cadmium lemon, titanium white. Got some paint thinner right here, and then right here we have just some linseed oil. So this probably happens to you. Just take some straight paint, no paint thinner, no medium, anything like that. You put it on, you're painting on your canvas, and then it comes time for you to paint over it. So you clean your brush. Now you want to paint over with a nice bright orange. So you mix up your orange here. You try and paint over it, and it doesn't work at all. Mixes in, turns green. So why does that happen? Well, it can happen for many reasons. And the first one I'm going to talk about is just painting thin to thick. So you got to leave yourself room to build up with the paint. So if I was painting something in my first layers, I would use just some paint thinner, thin this up, and just lay it down a little thinner. You can probably go a little darker if you want, but when you start thin like that, it's a lot easier to build over top of it. So I'd clean my brush. Another big thing is just cleaning your brush and having your paper towels. See how much I wipe my brush on my paper towels. So then when I go to make up my orange, I'm not using any of the paint thinner. I'm just using straight paint. And this paint's going to be a lot thicker, so it should be able to go over top of it a lot better. Now I know what you're saying. You're saying like, well, Chris, like that looks so much darker blue, but yours is like a lighter blue, so I don't want that. Well, a lot of painting is pushing and pulling. So if I was painting something and this is like what I was doing, then I'd go back into the areas that I knew needed to be darker, and I'd push them a little darker around that. There you go. Now, let's say, like, well, where does medium fall into this? You show me just going from paint thinner to straight paint, but what about medium? Well, let's try medium. So, say if you got the same blue here, paint it on thin, cleaning my brush. Now we're going to mix up orange here. Let's just dip a little bit of our medium into it. See, it's not going to go over as good as that, but it's still pretty good. And a lot of the times, I'm not going straight over, paint like this with just some completely different color. If I had something that was that big of a difference of color, I would just leave a space to put it in. I wouldn't just paint the whole thing blue, because most of the time, like, what I'm trying to do is this. Like, I have a dark blue, and it's like, oh, I need to make that a little lighter and a little more red. So I'd mix up my little more, my blue that's a little more lighter and has a little more red into it, and I'd make sure it's slightly thicker. That way I could go over it, and I realized that some of this paint is going to blend into the blue, so I'm kind of anticipating that, and I'm making this mixture probably a little lighter than it needs to be, because I know once it gets mixing into this blue, it's going to change. It's going to pick up a little of that blue, which is kind of the cool thing about oils, is that you can constantly be changing and moving the paint. Like, I could take this and push it even further, add a little more white. I'm seeing my paint's getting even thicker now, and see if it gets even lighter over here. I feel like this is what you're going to run into more of, having to paint over top of paint that's this close together in color and value. Something like this doesn't really show up that often, and if it does, you are better off just leaving a space. Even if it's not even that accurate of a space, just having some space will make that a lot easier. I'll show you right now. Kind of running out of some blue here. All right, got some more blue. Let's do this. So if I was painting, whatever this is, I would try the best I can to leave a space where that orange is going to go, even if it's, not 100% accurate, and some of my orange is going to have to go over that blue. Just having that blank canvas there is really going to help. So when I do mix up my orange, it's going to have a lot easier time going through. And like I said earlier, so much of oil painting is pushing and pulling, going back, constantly reworking. So I'd go back here if I really wanted to and tighten up these edges, or if there's a certain section where I wanted to go in a little bit, or, if there's a section where I want this to be softer, so I wanted this to kind of blend to a green, the soft edge like that. That's what oil painting is doing stuff like that. It's not exactly concrete layers. Now, another problem that you might be having, not talking thin to thin, is your brush. And it's good to have a good, sturdy oil painting brush. Like, these are Rosemarine Co. brushes. One's a ivory synthetic. One is just, they're just ultimate bristle brush. And these are good oil painting brushes because they can hold a good amount of paint and lay down a good amount of paint. Like, I'll show you what happens if I try and use a watercolor brush here, which is very soft and very flimsy. If I try and paint here and I clean the brush, it's going to be very difficult for me to get the paint thick enough. Like, I'm trying to pick up a lot of paint here, and put it down over that. See, it just blends right in. It's not like that. And it's because these bristles are just so, flimsy and soft, which is good for watercolors, but not great for oils. I really loaded up the brush there. Like, I'm trying the hard as I can, to pick up paint here. Let's get a lot of white. Let's see. Yeah, like, it just won't get off the brush easily.
All right, I hope you found that video helpful. If you still have questions, leave them in the comments section. Again, for full painting video tutorials and access to my private Facebook group where you can post your paintings and talk to other people and comment and all that, check out my Patreon page, linked in the description below. I am on Instagram at Forza43 if you want to see what I paint on a daily basis. I'm Chris Fornatero here, telling you to go get painting. Whoa, you're still here. You made it to the end of the video. That must mean you really like it. In that case, you should hit the subscribe button. You'd also probably like this video too, and this video. Please pick one. All right, this is getting awkward.